Today I want to take a look at the Divi theme by Elegant Themes, as this is one of the themes that I use a lot in my business. Partly I use it so much because I can become very familiar with one theme in particular that I can use for a variety of client websites. So this really saves me a lot of time from having to learn new themes and all their customization options. So it really saves a lot of time and a lot of money, allows me to get through projects a lot faster, but still provide high quality work. And this is a great theme, especially if you are not familiar with coding, but you still want to be able to provide web design services. This is a very good theme for being able to provide high quality work that looks extremely professional without ever having to touch a line of code. So Divi is a WordPress theme, and you really can just create an unlimited number of layouts with it and customize it any way that works for you and the client that you're working with. So Divi comes with the Divi Builder, and this is what gives the theme the drag and drop ability so that you can create the unique layout that you want. Now, you can create any layout that you want, but they do have pre-made layouts for specific pages. So, for example, if you want an About page, it will create that page for you and allow you to customize it and even tweak it based on the template that they gave you. If you need a sales page or other types of pages, it will give you suggested layouts, and then you can just tweak that as well. It's also responsive, which of course these days is so important, and that's included, and you can also customize how the website displays both on mobile devices and on desktop computers. So that's really nice to be able to do as well. So this is what the Divi Builder looks like on the inside, but that's why I get into the behind the scenes of the Divi theme today and really show you how that you can use it so you have an idea of what it actually looks like beyond just looking at the sales page for it. But basically the Divi Builder is divided into sections, rows, and modules. And these sections, rows, and modules help you customize the look of the site. So that's what we're going to look at a lot today. And as you can see, it says that they have 46 different content modules. So this is what makes it so great for so many different types of industries. You can really find pretty much anything that you're looking for right here. So if you want to have pricing tables, you can do that. If you're working with more of a creative industry and you need to be able to display their portfolio, you can do that as well. If you need to have audio, you need to have video, you can do all of those things as well. So there's really just so much that you can do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, we're going to take a look at how to actually set up the Divi theme completely from scratch so you know what exactly to do once you get in there. So I've gone ahead and installed WordPress, and now what I've done is from the WordPress dashboard I've gone ahead and uploaded the Divi theme, but I haven't gone any farther than that. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look now that I've activated the theme, and you can see I am just starting from a blank slate right here. I haven't customized this at all. So from going back to my appearance section here, once I've uploaded Divi, it lets me know that I have a link to Divi documentation. And this is another thing that I really appreciate about Divi and Elegant Themes is just how much support that they have. As you can see, if you look at the theme documentation, there's just so much here that they give you to show you exactly what you can do with all of the modules and all of the different functionality that Divi provides. So I want to give you a quick overview so you can get an idea of what Divi looks like and what you can do, but you really have extensive documentation once you're on the inside as well. So there's a couple of things that I like to do for Divi when I first get started. When I actually install Divi, you'll see that on the left-hand side it's going to create a Divi menu. And I like to go ahead and look at the theme options and the theme customizer to get me started. And this is where I can really go ahead and start customizing some of the smaller things. So here we have our logo and our fave icon. So I can go ahead and upload those. I don't have anything uploaded here at the moment, but what I'll go ahead and do here is I will just upload all of my images right now. so that I don't have to come back and do this as I show you everything. So I'll just pause here for a second while these upload. Okay, so all my images have finished uploading, so I am going to go ahead and click on the logo that I've uploaded, and I'll set that as the logo. Next, I can upload my fave icon, which is what appears in the browser tab, just that real small icon here, and I'll upload that. Now down below we can set some display options, and you'll notice that Divi has all these little red question marks here. So if you have a question at all about what any of these things mean, it'll tell you right there. You don't have to go back to the other site and refer to the documentation. So that's really nice. So here, if you want to have a fixed navigation bar, which means that your menu will actually stay at the top of the screen even if a user scrolls, then you'll want to enable this. But if you don't like that, you want it to disappear once they scroll down, you simply click the button that's turned off. So it's really nice. So here you'll get into some of the blog settings if you want to be able to customize which images are pulled and how the blog displays. You can go and enable some of these options. Now, Divi is also integrated with WooCommerce, so if you will be building any type of e-commerce website, this is a theme that you can also use and customize easily for e-commerce. So that really gives you a lot of functionality right there, and you still don't have to touch any code to be able to do that. Now, a lot of businesses are integrated with email marketing, so if they are using MailChimp or Aweber, you can grab the code and you can paste it right into here as well, and you can go ahead and connect right there. Now also you'll notice that there are some social media icons right here that it is referring to. So if you would like social media to be displayed, you can do that here. So if we go back and we look at the demo, you can see there are social media icons right here. So if you want those to be displayed, you can enable those. Otherwise, you can simply disable them and they will not appear. So once you have gone through each of these settings and updating how many products or how many pages, posts, etc. you want to display on different pages, assuming that they are applicable to the type of business you are setting up a website for, then you would go down to the bottom and you can click on Save. Now once the options have saved, you can go on to the next tab. So here we'll be looking at navigation, and this is going to allow you to exclude or include pages that appear on your main navigation bar. Now of course right now when you first install WordPress, you're only going to see the sample page that WordPress has already created for you. But once you actually go to pages, you set up your about pages and your services page and so on, those will all appear here and you'll be able to select that right here as well. If you'd also like to show your drop-down menus, you can do that as well. And again, you can go through and you can sort how pages are actually going to appear, how your drop-down menus will appear here as well, and click Save. Now you notice that there's a couple of sub-tabs in here. So you'll have your pages, categories, general settings all in here, and you'll be able to again go in and select the same settings for those as well. Now layout settings, when you have your posts and pages, a lot of times, for instance with posts, you'll have information that's displayed like who the author is, the date that the post was written, and so on. If you do not wish for one of those pieces of information to be displayed, you can simply click on it and it will gray that out and that will not appear on your post. So that's really nice. You can also update whether or not you would like comments to show on posts, so that's very helpful as well. So you also want to go through and do the settings for pages as well. Now if you will actually be displaying ads on your website, this is where you will be able to insert the banner images right here. So if you just want to place advertisements or you'll actually be selling advertisement space, you can use this widget right here as well. Now SEO is of course a big one here. This is where you'll be able to enable custom titles for your homepage, the meta description, meta keywords, all of this right here. And this is where from this same screen you will be able to edit the title and the description that is going to appear in search results for your homepage. If you don't wish to do that from here, you can leave that disabled as well. Now again, for the single post, you can do that here. I prefer to make that unique for the specific pages, but that's something that you can play around with as well. Integration. Now this is where a lot of tracking code tends to get placed. So if you want to put header code within the header of all of the different pages, this is where you would be able to come and paste that and not have to worry about actually going into the header.php file if that's not something that you feel comfortable with. One of the big ones is Google Analytics. So this gives you a space where you can actually copy your Google Analytics code and you can paste that right there as well. So that's something that I'm definitely going to come back and do. And again, just make sure that you are clicking save once you've updated these changes. So now that we've gone through theme options, theme customizer is where things start to get a lot more exciting. This is really going to shape how your website appears visually. And then once we get through this customization dashboard here, we can go in and we can actually start creating the pages for this site, and you can really see how the Divi Builder works, and you can really see the website start to take shape. So you can see that my logo is already appearing here. You can see that my menu continues to stay at the top as I had that enabled. So now we can just go through some of these settings. Now I'm going to go through some of these a little bit quickly. I just want to give you a general idea of what's possible, and I want to spend more time looking at the actual Divi Builder and creating these actual pages. So we can look at our site identity, and this is just the basic site title and our tagline that's appearing. We have our layout settings. Now this is what's really nice here. We can click to have the boxed layout, so it gives these left and right lines on the side of the site, or we can just have it be full width. So that's really nice look as well. Now with a lot of these settings, you're going to have a slider here, so you're going to be able to slide the size of different settings here. So I like to, since we don't have a lot here, we'll look at that in another section. But if we go to typography, we'll see that we can select the size of the font. So in the body here, let's say I think that's a little small. I'll go ahead and increase the size up to, let's say, 18. Okay, I think that looks better for what I'm trying to do. Now line height, I can do the same thing if I want to space out the wording, make that look a little nicer, a little bit easier to read. Same thing for headers. If I want to make them bigger or smaller, if I want to space out the letters, I can do that as well. So you'll see I'll be able to change the body font, the header font, the colors for the different links. I can do all of that from right within here. Now next I can go to my background. If I want to select a background color or a background image for the site, I can do all of that here as well. Now header and navigation, I like to play around with this a little bit as well, because this is where you can really change how the site looks a little bit. So I can select to have vertical navigation if you would like your website to appear with the vertical navigation versus the horizontal navigation. You can also choose to hide your navigation until the user scrolls. So if you have one of those websites that has, let's say, a big header. So for instance, this one, you see there's no menu right now. But when I start to scroll, let's see if this one appears. This one appears down here. But if I wanted to have a large image here, and then as soon as the user started to scroll, then my menu would pop up here at the top, that's where I could enable that as well. For my main menu, I can make that a full width menu. I can also hide the logo if I want. I can change the height of the menu so it's bigger or smaller. The same thing with the logo. I like to have it a little bit bigger so people can actually see what it looks like. And again, the text size, the font color, the font family, all of that I can do from right here. Now the same thing with all the different menus as well. Now the footer is going to be very similar. We can go ahead and select the layout there. If we want it to have 4 boxes, 3 boxes, 1 large box, there's all these different layouts for the footer. You can also include the different widgets here. How big will the text size be for the body, for the header, what font is going to be used, what different colors. So you'll see that there's a lot of options for the footer as well. So you can really maximize that space. Now buttons is a big one here. This will allow you to select just how big the button size is, how big the text is within it, what colors the buttons actually are. So this is particularly helpful if you are creating a header on the home page and you want to include a call to action that you can really customize if you want a square button, if you want a circular button, if you want different colors. All of that can be customized from right here in this button section. Now, blog is something that's fairly straightforward. We also have mobile styles, and again, this is where I mentioned you can look at the settings for the tablet, the phone, a mobile menu, and really customize how all this is displayed. I typically like to set up the desktop version first, and then I like to come back and see how it's displaying on mobile devices, and then I can make smaller tweaks from there. We can also set up our color schemes, our menus, our widgets, and we can look at our static front page if we're going to be using our blog's latest posts or a static page. We can do that here as well. But I don't have any pages set up at the moment, so I'm not going to worry about that. So I'll go ahead and click Save. Now what I want to do is I want to actually go ahead and start creating some pages, taking a look at the Divi builder so we can get an idea of what we can do here. So let's go ahead and create our first page. Now I'm just going to go ahead and create a home page. Now just like with your standard WordPress page, you'll put in the title, and on the right hand side here you can choose the layout for the page, whether you want it to have a right sidebar, a left sidebar, or no sidebar at all and just be full width. So we're going to go with a full width page for right here. You can also select here whether or not you want the navigation to appear before the user actually scrolls. So you can actually customize that per page, so that's really nice. So even with the Divi builder installed, you can still use WordPress like normal, and you can customize pages and build them just like you would any other way. However, if you want to use the Divi builder, you simply click on the Use the Divi builder button. Surprise! And going down, we're going to see a couple of things here. Here we're going to have our standard section, and inside that section we're going to have a row, and within that row we can create modules in there as well. So notice here that there are a couple of options. We have a standard section, a full width section, and a specialty section, and also add from library. So a standard section is going to allow you to create all different types of layouts. You have all different types of modules that you'll be able to use. A full width section is typically one that you'll use if you are going to be using a large header or slider, portfolio, something like that, that you want to stretch fully across the website. And then you can immediately insert a module there. So like I said, this is where you could insert a full width header, a slider, image, map, whatever you might want to have. Now a specialty section is if you want to have a very unique layout like one of these that are presented. So if you want to have different images or a form with a couple of different options for users to click on and take them to different pages or to different information, this is a great way to get that layout without having to customize it yourself. And finally, add from library is if you have created a layout and then you've saved that to your library, which you can see just by clicking Save to Library here, you can do. And then when you create a new page and you want to use that same layout, you can click Load from Library and it will pull in your created page, and then you can just customize it for that particular page. So that's really nice as well. So for the home page, I like to use the standard section to start with, and let's say I want to insert a full width image. Now what I could do is go ahead and create the image, and I can upload it just like I would any other site. Now if I want anything to appear on top of the image, what I would prefer to do is I would like to go into the settings for my section, and I want to use a background image. So here I'm going to upload an image. I'm going to select this one, set as background here. And as that's uploading, you can also make some of these other changes here. So let's say you don't want an image, you want to have a video. Sometimes you see those websites that have a video going on in the background while there's a call to action on top. This is exactly how you can do that right here. If you want to place video, if you want users to be able to watch a video, that's how you can have that as well. So my image is there. I can go ahead and click Save. And now that I have the background image, I'm going to go ahead and click Insert Module. And I'm going to go ahead and create a full width header on top of this. Now, this is where I can insert text to appear on top of the header. So I have a title I can insert. I can insert some buttons, so I can put in the text for the button, the URL for the button. So this is where I can create that call to action. And I can create a second button. So if I want a Learn More button or a Get in Touch button or Start Now button, whatever it is, I can add those there as well. Here I can customize those buttons as well. If I want to change the background colors of those, I can do that as well. So you can go through all of these and you can pick what works best for you. And finally, this is where I can insert the content to appear below the title as well. So I can go ahead and enter the title that I would like to appear on the header. If I would like a subheader, I can do that as well. Now if I have a dark background, I can select light text and vice versa. And then scrolling down, if I want to have additional content display, I can do that right here as well. But I'm going to go ahead and insert the text for the button so we can see what that looks like. You can also select on the advanced design settings, and this will allow you to further customize the font title, the color, as well as the subheading. So I typically like to go ahead and save it, get an idea of how it looks with the settings I've put in the system so far, and then I can come back here and further customize it as well. If you are familiar with CSS, you can put in your own custom CSS right here, so that's really nice as well. And I can go ahead and click Save and Exit. Now here's where the drag and drop comes in. Because I haven't created anything in this top section, I want to grab this section and simply move it to the top. So that way it appears at the very top of the site. And I'm going to click Publish. Now I want to go back to my site and I want to refresh it here just to get an idea of how it looks. Now obviously you need to set up the menu so that the home page comes to the page that I'm creating right now. But let's take a look at this so far. So obviously you can see my images is getting cut off. I have a couple of buttons here, but not really the color I think that we want to go with, and it's hard to read this text a bit. So that's easy enough to fix. So we can go back to the page. We can click on the settings icon here. And I want to create light text as it was appearing very dark. And here I want to go ahead and throw in a couple of logos just to build a little bit of social proof. I want to put in this Certified Pro here. And let's go ahead and put in our Yelp logo, Google logo, and the Certified Pro. So I can insert those here. I'm going to want to size those down a bit so they're the same. Move this one over here a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and list out some of the main services that they have. And I can go ahead and click Save. Once we click Save there, we also have to update the page. And then we can take a look at how it looks. Okay, now the text is getting a lot easier to read, and I can see that the buttons have also been customized so that they're lighter, but I still want to go ahead and center this a bit. So I can go ahead and center everything right here. Now I can also go ahead and space out these services as well, and I can space all of that out, and you can see that starting to look a little bit better there. I still want to create a little bit more space at the top here. So I'm just going to add in an extra space above these images, and I'm going to save that. And then lastly, what I want to do here is I want to play with these buttons, because I started to show you how we can customize these buttons. So if we go back to our Divi settings and our theme customizer, we can go back to buttons when it appears here on the left. And what's helpful is we're going to be able to see the actual button as we make the changes to it. So for the button style, we can change the width. So if we want the button border to be bigger, we can change that here. If we want the border to have a different color, if we want it to be orange or green or whatever we want, we can do that here. Now, border radius is where you can change the style of the button to be either square or circle. So if I slide it all the way to the left, it's going to be a complete square. And if I slide all the way to the right, it's going to be a complete circle. So you can go anywhere in between that you want. And just by doing that here, you'll be able to see it actually change live, so you can decide how you want it to look. Same with letter spacing here. If you want to make the buttons a little bit wider, so that's a little bit nicer, you can, and makes them pop out a little bit more, you can do that as well. If you want them to be bold, you can do that too. Now you can also change the font of the buttons if you want something a little bit fancier or something a little bit simpler, whatever you want that works for your particular business. Now if you would like an icon to appear next to your button, you can select any of these icons that appear right here. And if you would like them, you can select the color that you want it to be. You can select if you want it on the right or the left, or if you only want that to appear when a user hovers over them or not, you can add those there as well. So you see it starts to look pretty customized right now, and then you can go ahead and save those changes right there. So it's pretty neat. Now going back, you can also go back to the button's hover style. So if you don't like how it looks when the mouse hovers over them, if you want it to have a different color, you can have it be whatever you would like. So if you want to have, let's say, an orange background, you can do that. So when the user goes over top, it changes to orange. And then you can select the opacity right here. So if you want it to not be so transparent, you can do that there as well. So that makes it look pretty nice and helps it stand out a bit too. And again, the border radius, that can change when a user scrolls over top as well. So however you want those buttons to look, you can really customize it without having to touch any code. And save and publish, and you're done. Now going back to the page here, now we have our full width header. So now we can start adding some standard sections, and we can really customize how we want this to look. Now I want to go ahead and add something here in between the header and the footer. So if I go back, I want to add a standard section. And when you add a standard section, you can add in a row, and within that row you can select how many columns you want to have appear. So this is really nice for being able to lay everything a little bit differently. So I'm just going to have one large column appear here. Now I can insert a module, and this is where all of the different modules come into play, and you can select anything that you want here, from blog posts to blurbs, if you want to put in a call to action, a contact form, images, number counters, the list goes on here. Or if you just want to enter text, you can do that here. So I'm just going to insert some text. I'm going to have the text appear in the center, and I'm going to go ahead and add in some text here. So I've added the text in. Now I want to go to Advanced Design Settings, and I actually want to make sure that the font appears pretty big. And I want to italicize it, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save there, and I'm going to update that, and we'll go take a look at this text on the website. So you can see here now that that's appearing very nice. It's a large font, but I don't really want that to have a white background, because I think the next section that I'll create is going to be white as well. So I really want that to stand out. So if I want the background color to appear, everything within this section will have the settings that I change here. So I want that entire section, since that's the only module that I'm going to include there, to have one color, the same background color. So I'll go ahead and set it as orange. I'll save that and I'll update that. And you can now see that it has that orange color. So when I scroll, that starts to stand out. And what I could do is grab the orange from the logo and simply put that here as well. But I think what I'll do is I'll go back here to the text, and I'm going to have that be a light color versus being the dark, since now the background is dark. And that will change to white, and that is going to look a lot better, make that pop. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and add in another standard section. And it's automatically going to create the row and ask me what I want to do with that. And here I want to now divide the space into 4 sections. And this is where I'll start listing out the services. So we have here the modules. So I'm going to create an image for each service, and then we'll provide some text that can actually describe that particular service. So we'll go here and we'll upload the image, and I prepared 4 main images. So we will insert this first one here as the image. Now here's where you can insert your alt text and the title text as well, which is important for SEO purposes, but I'm not going to do all of that right now. And here's where you'll be able to insert the link to your particular page on your site if you want the image to actually link to another page. So I do want that to link once I create that. And animation here, you'll be able to select if a user scrolls down, will there be no animation, the images will automatically just be there, or do you want them to slide in from left to right, top to bottom? Do you want them to fade in? What would you like to have happen? Then you can select if you want it to be right, left, or center. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned is with all of these sections and modules, you'll see that there is an admin label. So I can change the name of this admin label to, let's say, lawn mowing service. That way, when I save this particular module and I come back out here, instead of it saying that this is a text module, it'll say it is a lawn mowing service module. So this is going to make it much easier for you to figure out which module everything is contained within, so you're not doing a bunch of clicking and going in and out trying to figure out where to make a change, or if the client will be doing that. So then I can insert another module, and I can have that module appear below the image. And I can say that this is lawn mowing, and I can just simply label the service. And again, I can change this admin label if I want as well. And I just want to make sure that I've put this as center. I want to keep the dark text color since this is still a white background. And I'm going to go ahead and update this and just see how it looks. So when I scroll down, you saw the fade in from left to right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in these other 4 images, and I will be right back. Now I've gone ahead and added in the 4 images and the text. But one thing I want to show you is that this button here, if you simply click that, that will clone that particular module, so you don't have to recreate it every single time. So simply by clicking that, I've created this new text module, and I can simply just drag and drop it right over here, and I can go in and just change the text, and that way all the settings that I have included in that previous module are already there. So it's already aligned to the center, it already has the font and the size and everything that I set up. Now I can update that, and we can go back and we can look at this home page. And so now you'll see everything is starting to come together. Now let's say lastly what I want to do just for demo purposes here is I want to create a, let's see, should I do full width? I'll do a standard section, and I'm going to do a full width here, and I'm going to insert a module, and we're going to put in a contact form. So you can display the CAPTCHA or not. You can put in the email address that you would like it to go to. You can put in the title. Again, you'll be able to set up a new admin label if you would like to. You can also go into the advanced settings, and you'll be able to customize how this form actually displays again. I'll go ahead and click Save and Exit. We'll update this, and going back to the live site here, When I scroll down, it now has that get a free quote button. And I can also go back to buttons. Again, if I don't like the way this button displays, I can go into those advanced settings and I'll be able to update that there as well. So I think this starts to blend together these two sections, so I would probably go back in here and create a new background color for that, so it'll just make it pop and be its own section a bit. So I'll go back to the section and I will create a background color right here. And let's just say, I'll just pick a green one to be easy. We'll update that. And as you can see now, that really stands out as its own section. I would definitely want to update that button to look a little better, fit a little bit better with this particular website. But this gives you an idea of really just what you can do with Divi. So now all I would need to do is go in and start creating some of these individual pages, and I can do that again just like I would any other page. Now one other thing I would like to show you with the inside pages, let's say I am creating an about page. I can click on the Use the Divi Builder button here, and then I can click Load from Library. Now here, this is what I was telling you in the beginning. If you want to use their template, a basic homepage or a homepage for an e-commerce store, for a portfolio company, etc., you can actually just click load and it will load a predefined template for you that you can customize. So it makes it really easy. So if I scroll down here a little bit, I'm looking for an about page. So here we go. We have an about page. We could use about us, our team, creative agency. So I'm just going to go with about us to show you an example. So I'll click load. And as you can see, it's already created the about page with a slider. It has 4 different blurbs here. It has a text module with some bar counters to the side, a few different team members. So I can go ahead and publish this particular page. And let me just show you what this looks like without me even touching it. I'm going to click About. And as you can see, here's our header that we have. We have the 4 different blurb areas that have these icons that you can easily change. It has a small story to the side, which was just a text module, and these bar counters. And then lastly, your team member roles. So this is a very easy way to create the About page if you don't want to have to go through the full customization process, and then you can easily just X out what you don't want to have appear or insert anything else in its place. So it makes it very, very easy to do. But I want to create one more new page for you if you're not going to be using the predefined layout here. And let's say I'm creating a services page. Now what I want to show you here is your sidebar. You can either go to your widgets and you can set up the widgets to appear on your sidebar so that any of your page layouts that include this left or right sidebar will have those widgets. But what if you don't want to have the standard widgets on a particular page? To get around that, what you can do is you can use the full width page layout, click on Use the Divi Builder. Now what we're going to do is when we click Insert Column, what you can do is you can select one of these layouts that already has a sidebar. So for instance, this 3/4 and quarter section here, I can insert that. And here I can go in and I can enter my text, let's say, whatever I want it to be. And then I can insert a module here. So let's say if I wanted an email opt-in to appear. I want my MailChimp email opt-in to appear on the sidebar of just this particular services page. I can click that and I can add that to my sidebar. Now I can click this button to clone this row, and then I can change the email opt-in here. I can actually just delete this out, and let's say now I want this to be, let's say I want to go ahead and pull the widgets from a particular area. So I can go ahead and select the widget area, and all of the widgets that are displayed in any of these areas will appear now in this particular sidebar or module right here. Likewise, I can include anything else from audio. I can include another call to action. If I want to highlight a product for my WooCommerce shop, I can do that here, or add a video, text, testimonial. I might, for this particular business, like to add in a client testimonial or a customer testimonial. I can do that right here. And I can click Save and Exit. So I can go ahead and publish that page again, and everything else is really going to be just standard WordPress. Now again, now that I've created some pages, I can go back to my Divi theme options. I can click on the navigation and I can click out which pages I don't want to have listed in there. And then I can also go back and I can now set up my static front page. I had a static page here, but I never selected it, so now it's going to be home. And I can save and publish that. So as you can see, without touching any code here, I've really been able to go through and go from a basic blank install to a site that has a full home page now. I've also created a basic about page that I can go in and tweak, and I can go ahead and start adding in some different services pages that I will be able to link to from the home page where I've set up these service images here and really better describe the website. So as you can see, there's still some tweaking that I need to do, but I hope that this gives you an idea of just how much you can really customize a site without touching any coding using the Divi theme and the Divi builder, and just how powerful it would be to use on a variety of websites. Now, if you do decide to get Divi, it is based on a subscription. So you don't actually have to purchase the theme for every single website that you create. They actually give you the license to use this on an unlimited number of websites. And the subscription includes all of their themes, and they actually have 87, and a number of plugins that they've created as well. So you really can't get any better than this here. So they have a couple of packages. They have the personal, a developer, and the lifetime access. Now the biggest difference between these is that the personal and developer ones, you're going to get the themes, but you won't get all of the plugins if you go with the personal option. But it is not a one-time fee, it's actually per year. So you can purchase it one time, but you're not going to continue to get theme updates beyond that first year. And theme updates are very, very important for the security of a website. Divi itself is a very secure theme that you can trust, but it still needs to be updated just like any other plugin or any other theme out there. So it is going to be a once a year fee, but even for under $70, if you're able to use that on, let's just say, one site per month, that is a very, very inexpensive theme. Now what I've done is I actually purchased the lifetime access, and yes, it is more expensive. However, I never ever have to pay anything ever again. I have lifetime access to all of the themes that they have now, that they create in the future, all of the plugins that they have now and also create in the future, but also support and theme updates for life. And that's what's really important to me, especially when I'm using this on different client websites. I want to be able to access those theme updates so I can make sure that the client websites are staying secure and that they are as up to date as they can be. So those are the options that you have for getting Divi. So hopefully this sneak peek into what Divi actually looks like and what it can actually do has been helpful to you.